Okay, so I did it. And I know this isn't very much long after I made the first video, but I liked it. And words of my own advice, I decided to go ahead and post it. I'm sorry, I'm making a lot of noise. I'm actually, my son's home for his online class, so I am working from home, and I get to put away Christmas stuff for my mom because she's at work. And it's just one of the ways I give back to her and my dad, because they have done so much, so very much. But looking at my first video, I made comment on how if you know somebody that's hurting with the depression or anxiety, for that matter, I wanted to elaborate more on why it is so hard to have people that have the conditions to express how they're feeling, because a lot of people do. They'll downplay something that's really bothering us, and so when we have somebody that is asking, we tend to shut down. We don't really talk about it because in the back of our heads, this isn't a big deal. Because that's how many times we've been told what we're feeling, even though it seems so big to us. It hurts, and we don't want somebody to tell us that we're overreacting. That's a big one. Overreacting. You're overreacting. Ugh, you're overreacting. Just nags that on even more, and it's just crazy hurtful for us. So we get into a vicious cycle with that, where we'll shut people out. My best friend went through a very traumatic event years and years ago now, and sometimes it comes and bites her. And even though it has happened so many times, because I have an understanding of what it feels like to not be listened to, I know I've got to listen to her. Whether I feel annoyed or think she should be done with it by now, it doesn't matter. It hurts her, and it's huge for her still after, oh gosh, it's been 5 years. But I know it's not done for her. It's not done for her yet. I mean, and I can't tell her she needs to be. I can encourage her to try to help her get through it and make it not hurt so much. But the fact is, I still acknowledge that it hurts, and that helps her get through her anxieties for that event. People tend to look at someone with anxiety or depression as attention seekers. No, we are not attention seekers. It's farther from the truth. Like I said, we will, on outward appearance, a lot of times people with anxiety and depression will put on this facade that everything is okay and that we do believe it's not that big of a deal, but it really is to us. So it's so hard. It really is hard. You can't sit there and say, "Ooh, okay, that's cold. Oh my gosh, that's cold. Oh, okay, shut that door." That it is small and insignificant. If you are the one having the problems, being able to talk about something specific, or being able to tell somebody that it hurts so much. It's very daunting for us to admit that, you know, it's got a hold on us like a vice grip, but okay, no, it's okay, it's okay, you know. But in our head, we're like, we've got that little you get the little devil and the little angel on your shoulders. Well, you've got another little person right in the back of your mind that screams, let it out, scream it, even though you know for your own self that you're not okay. You block that little voice that's screaming and you say, I'm okay. You know, you put on this fake face for everybody. I remember seeing the commercials for an antidepressant where the people were walking around with the stick with the smiley face on it. God, is that ever true? Freaking, the truest thing is that fake face that you put on for everybody. I'm trying to look for more stuff here. I'm sorry. I'm kind of... She's got a lot. It's a big house. So it's hard to tell if somebody is suffering that way. But if you've got that friend that comes to you and talks to you about something that seems so simple and kind of mundane to you, listen to them. Because in all actuality, they may be blown up with such a small, little, tiny thing that you've, like, whatever. It's not for them. And if you are the one that has that, where you're I don't know, maybe you cooked a meal that day and you think that whoever ate it was just being nice to you, and it's got you in this hold where you didn't do a good enough job and it just killing you on the inside. And somebody asks you, tell them. And unfortunately, a lot of times we get the response of, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Why are you so upset? It's something you can't control. It really isn't. It is something that you can't control. Oh boy, it really isn't. And it's so tough to try to get people to understand. But hopefully you can find somebody that will help, will just listen. You know, that's a big thing. You know, to have that person in your life, or persons. Hopefully you can find that network. And I mean, like I said, I was very fortunate to have such a very large network to be able to go. You know, my parents were there for me. I had my son with me. I've got a couple of really good friends, you know, that would listen. But it wasn't until after I explained to them why I needed them to listen. If you are diagnosed with anxiety or depression or the CPTSD for that matter, really try to educate the people that you are talking to help them understand. Now, when I was in therapy, I had a hard time being able to tell people what was really wrong with me, and I couldn't find the words to help them understand. So my therapist actually, and you can find the documents online. I'll see if one of these days I can find those same documents. It's been so long. She showed me where to get the information to be able to give like a short little pamphlet, basically, to give to people that I wanted to understand what was going on up here, because it's different for everybody, but the pamphlet gives a pretty broad spectrum to help people understand. So if you can find that information for people, or if you are seeking help, your therapist can help you get that information, which it did. It helped a lot, you know. I mean, my parents are very old-fashioned, you know, and for them, what's going on with me is not something that, you know, they do. And, oh, you're going to therapy? No, you know, that wasn't that's not a thing for them. You got some issues, cry it out or get over it. That was pretty much the consensus for their generation. But when I finally came to them with the information, and they realized, oh, well, these things are easy for us to do, and they did, and it helped. You know, I could come over and just sit next to my mom, put my head on her shoulder, and just cry, because that's all I needed. I just needed that. And she'd let me. It wasn't like, oh, would you stop? Or you really got to get over this. You know, it wasn't like that. You know, I needed to cry, and I needed comfort. And because she understood better, I was able to get that. If you need to cry, I'll let you cry. Crying is okay. And that's the other thing too. If you've got to cry, just cry. Just let it go. Let it go. Because when you're done, when your body sits there and says it's done, you really actually do feel better. Because when we cry, whether it's happy or sad or angry, there's a chemical released that gives us that I can breathe feeling. So, cry. That's a good one. Cry. When you feel like you gotta cry, cry. Don't hold it in, because it just makes it so much worse. It's so bad. I mean, and yes, I have gotten the why are you crying? It's nothing to cry over. For me, it is. And it could be for you too. It definitely could be for you too. But, yeah. See, a scatterbrain. I'm sorry. It's not easy. It's very hard. It's very hard. It's very, very hard. It's always hard. But you gotta breathe. Cry if you have to. And, you know, don't let people tell you what you need to feel about things. You can't do that to yourself, because it just makes it so much worse. So much worse. And I let that happen to me for a very long time. You know, conforming to society. Everybody's an individual. Everybody's different. Everybody has their own way of handling what they're going through. And everybody has their own time frame of healing. I will never be without my CPTSD. Never. I have it for life. But I have a way of dealing with it so that I can live and get through my day and say, I've got this. And it works because I found my way of being able to do things. I told you about my tick and you know, like I said, a lot of times I don't notice I'm doing it, but once I realize, I can step back from that situation in my head. Obviously, I don't obviously like take a step back, but I can sit there in my head and step back and be like, wait a minute. Okay, so I'm nervous, but I've been through this situation before and I got through it. I can do it again. You have to believe in yourself. That's a big thing too. You gotta believe in yourself, because you are the only one that knows exactly how you feel. you can try and have people understand how you feel. And maybe you can have them help you through it, which is great. It really is. It's awesome to have somebody there. But you can, you gotta know yourself. And it took me a while to find myself, but I found myself. And I'm still learning too. Believe it or not, I don't have it all together. I don't have all the answers. I have some of my answers. Just, number one, you gotta breathe. It's okay. Sun might not be out, but it's there.